Hello and welcome to the latest interview on Slice TV. So for this interview, it comes from a person that I connected with on LinkedIn and followed up to meet for a coffee. And it just goes to show how important it is to meet up with the people that you connect with, if you can. As once I sat down and talked to him, I realised he's got an awesome story about his mining business. So enjoy the interview. Tell us a little bit about what makes Golden State Mining.
Well, Golden State Mining was formed in August 2017 as a vehicle for 3 West Australian exploration assets. The cornerstone asset for us was the Q Gold Project, just to the north of town in the Murchison region, a very historic area for gold mining. Great legacy there. The second project was the Ewell Project in the Pilbara, prospective for lithium, gold and base metals. And the third, another key mining centre in Western Australia, was Laverton, and we have some interesting ground there just north of the town itself.
Now, what is the plan of attack for the next 12 months with Golden State Mining?
Drill and explore the Q tenement. That's our primary focus for this exploration season. We've also engaged the services of an expert consultant in the field of lithium, and he'll be doing some mapping and target generation for us at Ewell. The Laverton Project 4 Mile Well, we'll probably be doing some soil sampling and maybe some reconnaissance drilling, and hopefully we'll complete all of that by December this year.
Now, you set up Golden State Mining yourself a couple of years ago. What was the inspiration that brought it about?
The inspiration for Golden State Mining was to bring together a lot of the people that I'd worked with in the WA mining industry over the past 20 years together and focus them on a key set of projects here in Western Australia. I'd worked with some great people, some great resources, great talent. And for me, it was about finding the right project that would bring the money in and allow us to deploy these people to hopefully generate some success in terms of exploration here for the company.
So let's start about individual projects. Okay, tell me a little bit about the Q project to start off with. Its history, what excites you about the Q project?
Well, Courtney, the reason why we dragged you down here today to have a chat was because I think there's some analogies between this particular building, Pony Express, this beautiful old building here in West Perth, and what we actually had at Q. This is a little hidden gem here, this coffee shop in the back streets of West Perth. Not many people seem to know about it. Q was historically mined, the area that we have was historically mined in up to the 1920s, an area where they exploited high-grade gold veins up to an ounce per tonne. Those projects have lain dormant almost for all that time. There was an uptick in exploration activity in Q in the 90s and the early 2000s, and quite a lot of meters drilled. But nobody really seemed to understand the opportunity at Q. What's unusual about it is the gold sits in granite. It's quartz veins in granite. Normally, if you're chasing gold here in this state, you're looking at greenstone. And so it provided a bit of a conundrum for all of those that have held the ground before. We had a feeling that there was something substantial perhaps sitting below this granite, and for us that was the key. Critical factor for us was to see if we could peer below the granite and understand how deep that was. We were looking for an extension of the Great Fingal structure. Great Fingal was a great mine that was mined at over 1 million ounces, really famous mine, really put Q on the map. Could we prove that the structure that held the Great Fingal mine actually could be found on our tenement? And we had a suspicion that it dipped below the granite. We were very lucky. We found an old 2D seismic line that the government had run about 10 or 15 years ago, and we were able to analyse that using the guys at High Size, who've had a lot of success with Northern Star recently in terms of extending the life of their mines. They reprocessed the data for us, and they were able to tell us that it was in fact not a large granite body, it was actually a thin tabular body. So for us, that was the first eureka moment that there could well be something significant sitting underneath it, and that was the system that fed all the gold in the quartz in the granite where our tenements are hosted. Q's a fantastic town. I mean, like any mining towns, it's had its ups and downs, and I think it's due for a resurgence. I think there are a number of other companies operating in the area. The camp's busy. Part of the attraction of Q is that infrastructure that's there. It's right on your doorstep, so you're not stuck at a mine camp in the middle of nowhere. You can wander into town at the end of the day, and for us, that's part of the attraction. The history, the support of the local community, and the Shire itself. I mean, it would be great to see another couple of mines operating again in the Q area.
Tell me a little bit about the Ewell Project.
Ewell's got a really interesting history. For me, the attraction was its association with Graham Hutton. Graham was a great explorer and has an amazing track record and had a great following in his time. And he pegged the ground in the mid-2000s. and vended the ground into a company. And Graham picked it up because he was looking for tantalum. And at the time, that was definitely a commodity of interest. And subsequent to that, we had the iron ore boom and everybody went crazy for iron ore. So the company that received those tenements didn't follow up on Graham's hypotheses. And so they got obsessed with iron ore and forgot about the fundamental reasons why he was there. And that ground became available early last year. And for us, it was a great opportunity to jump on that ground with such a great pedigree. And we're there because of lithium. Yes, for the tantalum. Graham's idea that the rocks there were ripe for the commodities that we're chasing. We also think that it's very prospective for gold and base metals. Quite a lot of work's been done in terms of geophysical work, but other than that, it's there ready to go. And so for us to get hold of a strategic land position in the Pilbara, we've got over 400 square kilometres. Now there isn't a square inch of that Pilbara region that's available. So really we were lucky to get in when we did, before we've had the rush in terms of gold and lithium explorers. Some of the older guys here in WA, some of the older members of the broking community absolutely remember him and have been supporters of us purely on the basis of the ground that Graham liked. The fact that we've got it is great. So for them, that's the endorsement. And they see it very much as elephant country, and I see that ground absolutely in that way. Great opportunities there. Not a lot of work been done. We've selected one of the best known lithium geologists to go and evaluate that ground for us, Dr. Marcus Sweetapple. He's done some great work over the past few years in that region. And so for us, it was about getting the best person that we could to go and evaluate that for that particular commodity.
What's the first plan of attack for Ewell then?
First plan of attack is to get Marcus in a vehicle and send him up there. So he's going to spend 2 or 3 weeks up there walking the ground, looking at the targets and evaluating it. So for him, it'll be the swag, it'll be the ute and an offsider, and there he goes.
Okay, 4 Mile Project in the goldfields.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about this one, Michael.
Well, 4 Mile Well was a bit of ground that we picked up. Once the company had listed, we were looking for a third project, and we wanted something that was complementary, and again, West Australian focused, something that was easy in terms of logistics and easy to manage. So Laverton ticked all the boxes, though. Again, a lot of companies are active in the area. A bit of a spotlight's been shone on that region recently. This ground was vacant, so in terms of the company and acquisition costs, very, very low costs. Just the cost of the exploration license application fee, that was literally it. Geologist who's on the board, Brenton Siggs, had identified that area as an area of interest. He had a lot of experience in that region. And I guess it has some similarities with respect to Cube, because there's granite and greenstone there. And for us, that doesn't really hold any issues for us. We think that we'll get to understand that ground pretty well. It won't cost us a lot to understand whether there's something there of interest or not. So in terms of risk to the company, very, very low risk.
Now, you've taken an approach to always look at things a bit differently than what the regular West Australian market in mining does. Tell me a little bit about how you've approached that.
Well, for us, it was finding maybe some unloved assets that had a good history, had a good pedigree, but hadn't necessarily been leveraged by the previous owners. And that's definitely a case of all 3 of those assets. The similarity they have is there's significant amounts of granite in all of them. And in some instances, and I think it's definitely with Q, that's masked the true potential of this project. And for us, it was about acquiring those assets and truly understanding their potential and then being able to convey that to the market.
So I hope you enjoyed that interview with Michael. I tell you, just that little bit of good luck can go a long way in mining. So I reckon we watch this space and see where this business goes to. Till next time, bye for now.